YouTube, what's going on with y'all, man? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Mose. This is Mose Knows. We're back at it again. As you see this week, we are back in our regular studio. Back with our regular equipment, our regular background. It feels so good to be back home. As you can hear in my voice, I'm still a little sick, still got a little bit of nasal congestion, but we feeling much better than last week. I want to thank and appreciate everybody who stuck with me through the sniffles and giggles, the congestion, the heavy breathing, all that kind of stuff. And I started the video off okay, and as I kept talking, it got a little bit worse. But I thank y'all for sticking with your boy. Thank y'all for rocking through the video. We feeling a little bit better, getting over this cold thing. Listen, I blame the kids. Kids is back in school. They hanging around each other, snotty noses, sneezing and coughing and just all of this stuff. I blame the kids. As y'all know, I have 4 of them. I blame the children. But anyway, we back at it again with another episode of What We Learned. This is a weekly series recapping weekly NFL action, and we're gonna cover week 5 today. Let's jump right in. Let's start with our quick hitters. Let's see if we learned anything or didn't learn anything. We'll start with Thursday night's matchup. We got the Rams versus the Seahawks. Rams take this win 26-17. Both quarterbacks get injured in this game. I believe it was an injury to a finger on both of their throwing hands. It looks like Russell Wilson's injury is a little bit more egregious than Matthew Stafford's. But in this game, the Rams showed that they were the superior team, came out with the W. Moving over to Sunday's action, we got the Jets versus the Falcons. This actually was a closer game than I thought it would be. The Jets, as they have been doing this season, come on just a little bit late, start slow and kind of finish strong. But as I said in my TikTok, when I did my weekly NFL picks, the Falcons are the more veteran team, have more experience with playing in an overseas game. So I gave them the edge and they got the W. Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings took this 19-17. Again, much closer game than I thought it would be, but the Vikings did get that 2-point edge. Lions also another team, start slow, kind of finish strong. I mean, if they could just start a little bit faster in some of these games, if they can get on the board a little bit earlier, I think you can see, it turn off of the run. Not winning a lot of games, but they'll be able to win more games than they've lost so far. Broncos, Steelers. I should have followed my first mind. Let this be a lesson to you. Do not second guess yourself. Should have followed my first mind. In my weekly picks, I should have stuck with Pittsburgh. I wanted to pick them so bad, and I should have stuck with Pittsburgh in this game. Of course, they weren't going to lose 4 in a row. I would have been, whoa. All of this trick or treat. What? It ain't Halloween yet, computer. What are you doing? Interrupting the video like that. See? Trick or treat. Should have picked the Steelers. That's the trick. The trick is on me. They came out, they played tough. They hung in there, they played strong. Great game by the Steelers at home to make sure they get that W and not lose 4 in a row. Still look like they're struggling a little bit. I don't know if this is sustainable for the Steelers team with the way they're currently playing. And Ben Roethlisberger's up and down nature. But they were able to get it done. Like I said, I could have been 14-2. That was one of the wins I could have. I had a really good week. I'll take 12-4, but I could have been 14-2. Buccaneers versus Dolphins. I don't think we learned anything in this game. Tom Brady is just that dude. 411 yards, 5 touchdowns. He went off. Saints versus Washington. Again, these are 2 teams that each week they trade off. Saints. Win 1, lose 1. Win 1, lose 1. I went with the odds in this game. It's the Saints' turn to win. They lost last week. This week it's the opposite. They have to win. Went into Washington and they played a fairly decent game. Jameis Winston, 4 touchdowns on your head top. This Washington defense, man, after, this point in the season, I'd say we're a little bit more than, a quarter of the way through. This Washington defense has really, really been a major disappointment so far. I expected much more from that team. Philadelphia Eagles were losing this game at one point, 15-3, and it's made a second half surge. I mean, you can't fault them, for what they did, although Jalen Hurts really didn't provide much, 22 of 37, 198 yards, no passing touchdowns, 1 interception. The Eagles did what they needed to do to secure this win. I don't know what happened to Carolina and their defense. They were playing strong and playing well this entire game. And then all of a sudden, it's just like they faded. They allowed Philly to hang around. Sam Darnold made too many mistakes through the air, throwing all those picks. And Philly came out on top. So much respect to the Eagles on that W. Titans versus the Jaguars. I knew the Titans weren't going to lose to both rookie quarterbacks in back-to-back weeks. They had to come out. They had to put better play on tape than what they did against the Jets. And they secured the W there, 37-19. Patriots, man, this is another team that, is surprising me, especially with teams the caliber of the Texans. Against the Bucs, they showed up. They almost had an opportunity to win that game. But then you see a game like this against the Texans with rookie quarterback Davis Mills, who threw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns against this Bill Belichick defense, who is known for making rookie quarterbacks struggle. This Patriots team, I think it's more than just not having Tom Brady. This Patriots team just is not the same team that they used to be. Now, you could, contribute that to offensive struggles with a rookie quarterback, them not being able to control the ball as well as they used to in the past. But I didn't expect Davis Mills to come out and ball like that against this Patriots defense. But the Pats were able to squeak out a 3-point win, 25-22. New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, I had the Cowboys winning this game. I think this was made easier by the loss of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. Cowboys rout the Giants 44-20. 49ers going to Arizona and get a loss. Trey Lance in his first NFL career start as a rookie, the youngest starting quarterback in 49ers franchise history. And I think Kyle Shanahan, as our head coach, failed him. The game plan that he called was absolutely horrendous for somebody who's labeled as an offensive genius, offensive mastermind. There was no creativity in the play calling. And despite him mailing it in on Sunday, Trey Lance had this 49ers team in position to win, in addition to DeMeco Ryans and how well he's coaching this top 10 defensive unit. Shame on Kyle Shanahan. That's going to wrap it up for the quick hitters. Let's move into the top 5 for this week. Let's start with this Packers versus Bengals game. Now, I tried to tell you on the beginning of the season, watch out for this Cincinnati Bengals team. This isn't the same Cincinnati Bengals team that you used to seeing. Zach Taylor has these young boys balling. And yes, there were missed kicks on the Packers side. Mason Crosby missed an extra point. He missed a few field goals. There were missed field goals on the Cincinnati side. Went into overtime. Both teams missed the kick in overtime. Understood. But this Bengals team in the past is not a team that you would think will put up a fight against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Doesn't matter if they're at home or not. And this Cincinnati team came out, they struck first, 7-0, they were up. By halftime, it was 16-14, so they were still in the game, still close. They were battling. Joe Burrow had to lead a fourth quarter touchdown drive and get a 2-point conversion to tie the game up to even send it into overtime. Joe Burrow, man, this young kid is playing some good football right now. He's still making, a few mistakes that, young quarterbacks tend to make, but there is belief in this Bengals organization that they have their quarterback of the future, that they have their weapons of the future. Jamar Chase, my goodness, he pulled the wool over all of our eyes. It seemed like he couldn't catch a cold, like the cold that I had. Jamar Chase couldn't even catch that during off-season training camp in the preseason. But he's catching everything right now. I think he has a touchdown in every game so far. He's cooking. You can see that chemistry with him and Joe Burrow is real. It wasn't just stat padding at LSU. There was real chemistry there. And for them to be away from each other for a year and then to come back together and still have that same level of chemistry, that's going to be an amazing combination for 5, 10, 12 years to come. They have a great running back in Joe Mixon. They have another wide receiver in T. Higgins. Get a few more pieces on that offensive line, maybe get them a little bit more dynamic of a tight end. This Bengals team is going to be really, really good. Now, of course, we know Aaron Rodgers, he puts this team in position to win every single week, every single drive, got them into field goal range at the end of the game. Kind of reminded me of the 49ers game where he puts them in position for a last-second field goal, and when he spikes the ball to stop the clock and he pumps his fist and walks off the field, he knows he did it. He's done his job. He knows that he just double checked all over the opposing defense, and he secured the bag. He secured the W for his team. Unfortunately, that first time Mason Crosby missed that kick, I wish Mason Crosby would have, he missing kicks now, I wish Mason Crosby would have missed that kick versus the 49ers, and maybe we don't go on a 3-game losing streak. Come on, Mason. I need you to show a little bit more consistency, man. Help me out, bro. Now, all of a sudden, you want to miss game-winning kicks when Aaron Rodgers puts you in position? Come on, dog. You should have been missing them a couple weeks earlier. Thanks, but no thanks. But this was an absolutely great game, back and forth. I enjoyed watching this on NFL Red Zone. Again, Packers are 4-1. They're rolling right now. Bengals are 3-2. I think that's better than they expected at this point in the season. So I think they're just going to continue to get better. I'm excited for this Bengals team. Next in our top 5, we got to talk about this Chicago Bears versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I definitely had the Raiders winning this game. This is one of the games that I do still count as a loss because I couldn't anticipate how the Raiders played. Understanding what was going on within the organization, you kind of felt that the players would come out and try to put something good on film to kind of get that behind them. But I think with the way that they played, if you watch the game, there was just such a level of uninterest and unenthusiasm, and it really looked like the Raiders played uninspired football. With everything that was going on in the organization, with now resigned head coach John Gruden and all the damning emails that came out and the things that he was saying about black executives within the league and the NFL Players Association, about black players, about LGBT players. I think what we saw from the Raiders team was a banding together of brothers, and I think they sent a message that we as players, we don't stand by this. We don't condone this. We don't agree with this. And not to say that the Bears didn't earn this win, but the Raiders played a level of uninspired football. Now they are professionals; they get paid to do this. But if you look at everything in its totality, if you look at how Carl Nassib earlier in the year, came out as an openly gay player, and how all of his teammates had his back and they backed him, and they said what he does in his personal life, that is his right to choose what he wants to do. What we know from Carl Nassib as a teammate, as a brother, he shows up every day. He laces up his cleats, he puts his helmet and his shoulder pads on, and he goes to work just like the rest of us. He's not mailing it in. He's not asking for a handout. He is grinding just like we are grinding. That's our brother. We're going to go to war with him. He's going to go to war with us. You got something to say about it? See me after the game. That was their mentality. So how can that be their mentality? And then you have a head coach, the person who is supposed to be the leader of men, speaking this way in such derogatory terms about your brother that you're going to war with. That those two things can't possibly exist in the same space. So I'm glad John Gruden is out. Whether he willingly decided to resign or he forcefully was told to resign, I'm glad he's out. There's no place for that in the NFL. Do I think the Raiders will be okay? I think it's tough. I think when you're a team that has played as well as they have so far, and I do believe that they bought in to what John Gruden was selling. They bought into his philosophy, his football philosophy. They bought into his offensive game plan. They bought into his leadership of men and the way he was leading them and the way he was coaching them and the way that he was, developing them as a cohesive unit. I believe they bought in, and I believe that's part of the reason why they were playing so well. So when you lose that, when you have that faith in someone and they disappoint you in the way that John Gruden has, you can't help but to think there will be some drop off. I don't want to make any judgments yet. Let's see if that culture that we saw from the Oakland Raiders, as they backed their teammate Carl Nassib, as they began to play together and as they began to win some of these games and build some early momentum, let's see if that culture amongst the players is sustainable to carry them through to continue to win games. Moving on, next in our top 5, we have the Browns versus the Chargers, 42-47 in an absolute shootout. This game was back and forth. Chargers went up early, and then the Browns ran off 17 in the second quarter to go into halftime up 20-13, and then just continue to go back and forth. The Browns scored. We got a 70-plus yard touchdown from David Njoku, outrunning the whole defense. And then Justin Herbert leads the team back down for another score. And then Baker Mayfield leads the team down for another score. And then Justin Herbert, and then Baker Mayfield, and then Justin Herbert, and Mayfield, Herbert. This game was absolutely amazing. Fireworks everywhere. Total of 89 points. But stop disrespecting my young boy Jay Herbo. Justin Herbert is the real deal. 26 of 43, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interception, QBR of 85, quarterback rating of 122. Stop sleeping on my young boy Jay Herbo, man. Y'all slept on him. I'm gonna keep saying it because I don't understand the slander and the backlash and the disrespect that y'all was throwing Justin Herbert's way during his draft process. He don't make good decisions, holds onto the ball too long, throwing motion is long. Y'all tried to say everything to bury this young man, and all he's doing is continuing to prove why a lot of us really don't know anything. Mose knows is just a name. But I tell y'all all the time, just because my name is Mose Knows doesn't mean I know everything. It's a lot of stuff I don't know. And sometimes there's a lot of stuff that even the professionals don't know either. And they was sleeping. They was disrespecting Justin Herbert. Stop it. Stop doing that. The kid is legit. The kid is legit. The kid is legit. That's all I would say. Moving over. Bills versus the Chiefs. Now, this is another loss that I wouldn't say. Now, I said I could have been 14-2. I was 12-4, could have been 14-2. I had the Panthers over the Eagles. The Panthers had that for 85% of that game. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they let it go. So Panthers should have won. And then I should have picked the Steelers. I wanted to, but I went against my better judgment. So those two games could have went in my favor, should have went in my favor. I could have been 14-2. I did pick the Chiefs over the Bills. This is not one that I would flip. Because the Bills just came out and said, man, nah. Bills said, nope. Nah, we not letting y'all disrespect us no more. You know who else legit? Josh Allen. Listen, stop disrespecting my young boy Josh Allen. 15 and 26, 315, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 91.6 QBR, 139.1 quarterback rating. Yo, Josh Allen went into Kansas City and outplayed Patrick Mahomes and got the dub. Josh Allen is a baller as well. And this Buffalo team, I mean, Sean McDermott has built such an amazing culture in Buffalo. He has restored winning culture within that Buffalo organization. They have their quarterback, they have their offensive weapons. They've built a solid, sustainable defense over there. And again, right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are sitting at 2-3. It's still early. We're only 5 games in, and they are the Kansas City Chiefs. But don't misunderstand or misconstrue the fact that what Tampa put on tape in the Super Bowl, teams are watching that. If Kansas City is on the schedule for this week, they're watching all the film that Kansas City has put on tape so far this year. And I guarantee you, teams are going back and watching that Super Bowl film and seeing what Todd Bowles and that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense did to stop this Kansas City Chiefs defense. I think we saw a little bit of that Tampa style when the Chargers beat the Chiefs. I think we saw a little bit of that Tampa sprinkled into what Buffalo does in this game. And I think teams are taking bits and pieces of what Tampa did, because you can't mimic it. Personnels are different, schemes are different, but you take things that you know could work in your scheme and you sprinkle it into what you already do well, because you know this team struggles against that. So just keep that in the back of your mind as Kansas City starts to play some of these upper echelon teams that in the past have had struggles with beating them. You're going to start to see them taking some of those concepts and some of those pieces from that Tampa Bay Super Bowl win and how well that defense has played, and they're going to sprinkle it into what they're doing, and it's making it difficult on this Chiefs team. It's making it, they don't really have that many injuries. Offense, Mahomes is fine, Kelsey's fine, Tyreek Hill is fine. I know Edwards-Helaire sprained his MCL, but he wasn't doing much up until this point anyway. The defense, defense is still a struggle for this team. Defense is still an issue for this team. Secondary right now, I would say probably the weakest link. Did they get any sacks this game? No sacks this game, so maybe the pass rush is a little bit limited. I know Frank Clark is trying to come back to 100%, but maybe the pass rush is a little bit limited. But defense is definitely an issue for this Chiefs team. And when your defense can't stop anyone and your offense is being stifled because defenses are now finding, ways to stop you and shut you down, it makes it tough. And Kansas City being held to 20 points, they can be beat. So shout out to the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to Josh Allen for going into Kansas City and getting that W. Last in our top 5 for the weekend, we're going to wrap this up and get on out of here. Indianapolis Colts at the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, I was scared because, listen, every week I'm trying to, improve my record. I think week 5 was the best week that I had as far as these game predictions. And the Colts came out here and said, bro, we don't care nothing about your predictions. At one point, I think it was like 16 to 3. Something crazy like that, 22. I was like, wait, what, bro? What's happening, Baltimore? And then all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson caught fire. That fourth quarter, he went off. Towards the end of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, and then in overtime, he went off. 37 of 43. 37 of 43. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. So, hold on, let me find the calculator so I can do this math right. 37 of 43. He completed 86% of his passes. He only missed on 6 for 442 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jack not just a running quarterback, y'all. He had 14 carries for 62 yards, but he had 37 completions and only 43 attempts for 442. Jack out here slinging it. And I love what he's doing right now because he is willing his teams to victory. Now, you don't want to always make it this difficult on yourself. You don't always want to be playing from behind. They were playing from behind in the Chiefs game and they were able to crawl and climb and fight their way back to a W there. They're playing from behind in this game and were able to crawl back, get the game tied up at 25, take it into overtime, and get the game-winning touchdown to Marquise Brown. You don't always want to be playing from behind because at some point you get too far behind, you won't be able to come back. But the fact that he is, at this point in the season, able to keep his composure and will his team to a victory, you got to give him his props. You got to give him his respect. Baltimore is also flying high, 4-1, 2-0 at home. Much respect to the Ravens. That's going to do it. That is going to wrap it up for this week. What we learned. Thank you so much for your time and attention and tuning in. I greatly appreciate you. If you want to get in touch with me, one, you can hit me down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about Week 5's action. What did you see? Was there anything that you learned? Was there anything that you were encouraged about from your team? Was it anything that discouraged you about what you saw from your team in Week 5 and what that means going forward for the rest of the season? Hit me down in the comments below. If you want to get at me on social media, I'll add the link to my social media accounts in the description. You can hit me up on all those social media sites. Again, I love interacting with each and every one of you. Hit that thumbs up on this video for me. It does me a good service, does you a good service. It's a win-win situation for everybody. If you're new to Mose Knows, thank you for tuning in. I love you. You're part of the family now. Nothing you can do about it. Do me a favor, family. Hit that subscribe button. Become a know-it-all. Make it official. And then after you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time new content drops right here at Mose Knows. Love and appreciate you, and we'll see you in Week 6. Peace.